Hey guys, Paul here from Venomite Studios. So I was developing my game and ran into a problem where I wanted to spawn non-player objects in a multiplayer game, but those objects had to be spawned at runtime and be able to spawn other game objects as well. I couldn't really find a good video online or any material whatsoever, and struggled quite a while, so I decided to just put together a quick video to show some of the ways that people could mess up and get some of the errors that I got and how to do them better. By no means I think that this is the best solution, but this solution worked for me. You are very welcome to leave other options and recommendations down in the comment section. So let's get started. Before I'm gonna go into the scene and show you my examples, I want to get across this message. In this tutorial, I want to show you how you can spawn other game objects from non-player game objects at runtime. You will see that these non-player game objects have to be previously spawned with client authority. So I have this simple networked scene with a network manager and a player prefab and some cubes. And the way this scene works is it will spawn in 4 different cubes in 4 different ways. Each of these cubes will try to spawn in another cube on top of it itself. So before we begin, I will mention that all of the prefabs that you want to spawn in your scene should be over here in this list. And each of them should have a network identity. Okay, so I'm gonna demonstrate how this works over the network. I'm gonna build a separate launcher here, and I'm gonna launch the game as a host over here in the editor and as a client over here in the build. Now for the first cube, I will spawn it in over here on the host. It just spawns in over here and it doesn't appear here in the client. And as you can see, it returns some warnings because it tried to spawn in the other cube, but it couldn't. I'm gonna show you the script for the first cube. Now, if I press key number 1, a method called spawnCube will be launched. This method instantiates a cube into the scene. This isn't a networked method, so it doesn't show up on both of the clients, only on the one that it's called on. Now for cube number 2, if I press it over here, you can see that it spawns in on the host and it does spawn in on the client. It also created a cube above itself, so it seems to be working. Actually, now if we flip around and launch the game as a host on the build and as a client in the editor, you can see that if we spawn in the second cube, it only spawns in on the client. It doesn't spawn in the black cube over here, and it gives some errors and warnings. The error reads, network server is not active, cannot spawn objects without an active server. And the warning is trying to send command for object without authority. Now I'm going to show you how the cube number 2 script works. Now if I press key number 2, the method called SpawnCube is launched. The method instantiates a cube and then spawns it on the server. Now this doesn't work on the client, only on the host. For it to work also on the client, it'll have to be like cube number 3. Now I'm gonna switch it back around and launch as a client on the build and in the editor as the host. Now if we spawn in cube number 3 on the host, it spawns in just fine, it doesn't give errors, and it spawns in the other cube. Same on the client, it spawns in blue cube, cube number 3, and the black cube. Now let's switch it back around. Launch the editor as a client and the build as a host. Now if we spawn in the third cube, it spawns in just fine, and it spawns the other cube fine as well. Now it gives some warnings, trying to send command for object without authority, but it seems to be working, right? I'm gonna show you how cube number 3 does it. Now if we press key number 3, a method called SpawnCube is launched. This method calls a command SpawnCube, which on the server instantiates the cube and then spawns it in the game. Now this version seems to be working, but for me I found an even better solution. If we launch the build as a client and the editor as a host now, and spawn in cube number 4, as you can see as the host there are no errors. Now let's switch it around. Host on the build and client in the editor. Let's spawn in cube number 4. We get even less warnings. I tell you, this isn't perfect, but this is fine for me. Now cube number 4 works like this. We listen to key press number 4. If we get it, we launch method called SpawnCube, which launches command SpawnCube. Now this command instantiates the cube on the server, creates a variable called owner, which is this GameObject that this code is run on. And now when it spawns the cube with SpawnWithClientAuthority and gives it this owner. Now this owner actually comes from player. This owner is actually the player GameObject, because all of these scripts are on the player GameObject. This works because the player has to be the one that spawns or calls the commands to spawn the cubes in the scene. Just a little afterthought here. If I had used isLocalPlayer, then I wouldn't have spawned into the scene 2 cubes when I pressed the button, and the cube number 4 would not have had any warnings at all. But I'm now too lazy to make another tutorial, so there you have it. Now I'm gonna quickly show you that each of these cubes actually has a script called spawn more cubes on them. That's how these black cubes are created. This is what the spawn more cubes script looks like. It uses the same method as the cube number 4 does. You can see it over here. Or rather, yeah, cube number 3. If you want to copy the code, you can pause the video right here. I'm gonna go through all of these codes. Here you go. So I hope this helped somebody, because it took me some time to figure this out on my own. And thank you for watching. I will see you guys next time.